Yes. Welcome back to another Red Lipstick Talk live on YouTube and Facebook. I missed everybody because we weren't here last week. I was all
Hello,
celebrating my
Renee.
birthday.
Happy birthday,
Hi,
Renee.
Nefertiti.
Woohoo! For
Thank
folks who are
you.
just
And you
coming
have yours
on,
coming up.
I do. It is our birthday month, and that's why we wearing
Yes.
blue, because we sapphires.
Yes. Yes.
So, how was your birthday,
My
Renee?
birthday was great. Oh my God. It was so what I needed just to take a break and do nothing at all and just be in nature, be at the beach, go to the park. It was so much fun. So,
Yay. Well,
yes.
happy birthday, queen, sister,
Thank
friend.
you.
We are so
Thank
blessed
you.
to have you in the world. And I'm glad that your birthday was fun and was in nature, connecting, regrounding. We all need to do that. So,
Yes.
yay!
Yay. And both of our birthdays are in September, which is what? Sexual Health Month.
Yeah, that is not an
Can you believe
accident.
that? That is not at all.
Yes, that is exciting. So, who told me it was Renee for folks coming on? Renee was who brought this to me. She's like, it's Sexual Health Month. I was like, okay, well, let's bring it on. Let's talk about sexual health this month. It's fun, it's exciting. We have plenty of stories to share, plenty of experiences we've had together in relation to sex. And we thought it'd be great to have a show talking about that. We've been in Brazil for years and we both come to a different place regarding sexual health. So our show today is called International WAP Tales. Woo, WAP, WAP, WAP.
Ooh, wow. Because we both
Sexual
got
health
wet ass
abroad.
pussies.
Yes. And I mean, when that video came out, Renee, I was like, this is the shit. I loved it. I
Mhm.
don't know what you
Yes,
thought,
me
but I
too.
was like, it's
Me
all
too.
about the WAP, of course.
Yes. And female empowerment, right? It's
Exactly.
empowering us to take ownership of our sexual body, of our
Yes.
pussy.
Yes. Exactly. So to honor the WAP queen herself, we're going to share with y'all what Miss Cardi B has to say about sexual health, and we'll break it down after.
Yes, yes, yes. So while we're waiting for people to come on, we got a good amount of people coming on. So we're gonna show you this Cardi B video on sexual health, and then, like Nefertiti said, we will break it down and we will talk about
Enjoy.
sexual health. So enjoy.
Y'all, it's your girl Cardi B, and I'm doing this video so y'all can keep y'all pussy on WAP. You know what I'm saying? A lot of you bitches got that dry ass pussy because y'all pH balance is off. And you wanna know why? It's not because you're born with it, it's because y'all keep fucking these dirty ass niggas. And y'all bitches is shy to tell these niggas that they dick is hot. You gotta tell babe, yo, your dick smell like mustard, my nigga. You wanna throw my pH balance off. Y'all bitches be fucking these little dirty ass niggas. Y'all be sucking their dick and shit. And y'all be gagging on it. Y'all think y'all gagging on it because the dick is big, but no, bitch, it's because it stinks. Another thing is, right, why your pH balance is throwing off, because y'all bitches need to fucking brush your teeth before you suck dick. Y'all eating barbecue ribs the whole day, bacon, egg, and cheese. Then you suck your nigga dick, and right after, he directly put it inside your pussy. Now you got bacon, egg, and cheese grease inside your pussy. You know what I'm saying? I'm only giving y'all this advice because I love you. If you don't want to take advice, all right, then, bitch. Roll the dice and keep walking around with that dehydrated pussy. Like I said, I love y'all, and this is for y'all to keep the water. Yo, it's your girl Cardi B, and I'm doing this video so y'all.
So good, so good. That was so funny. Love it. I love it. I
Keep the
love
WAP,
it.
y'all. Keep the WAP.
Oh,
So many
so
layers right there, Renee.
so many layers. Oh my God.
So
So
funny. So
welcome
yeah,
to those who are coming on. Hello, welcome back to Red Lipstick Talk. Say hello, let us know you're here. And as always, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. So yeah, so we're going to be telling our stories and expanding on sexual health. So
Here we go. So
Nefertiti, I want to
Renee,
have you start.
yeah. So for folks just joining, we just showed a little clip by Cardi B telling us all how to keep the WAP, how to keep it healthy. And she broke it down. She said, your pH is not balanced because of, the way I kind of read that whole message was, how are we really communicating in the relationships we're having sexually to make sure that our health is a priority, and to really make that part of how we have sex with people, right? She said your pH is imbalanced because you're having sex with men who are not taking care of their bodies. And
Right.
so, then what she said, then, don't be eating and then sucking dick, having oral sex
Right. And
because
that without brushing your teeth. But
because yeah, so there's one, be aware of how our body functions, right? What is the impact of all the different fluids in our bodies with mixing with other fluids? That was one. And then the second thing I think too is just around like, what is the set, how can you set it up so that you can guarantee you're always feeling healthy, right? And I think that was I just like how she broke it down. I don't know.
in a true Cardi B fashion. And it's so funny because I'm always having like clients come to me telling me that they're getting bacterial vaginosis simply. I'm talking Portuguese now, Porto inglês. Always getting bacterial vaginosis,
Mm-hmm.
yeast infections. And, so we don't think about when we're going into a relationship with our partner, significant other, or one night stand, or whoever it might be, or however many people it might be. And
Mm-hmm.
so, I love the way Cardi B said it, and it's funny because it's in her fashion, but it's truth. It's truth. It's like for men and women, you have to think about it when you're doing oral sex. You know, are you brushing your teeth? What are you eating? I'm to the point, like, honestly, I'm very particular about who I'm letting into my energy field. And
Mm-hmm.
so, and we're going to talk about our different experiences and where we were in different places. But I've had places where, I have sex with whoever, like whatever, but it affects me energetically and it affects my
Mm-hmm.
body,
Mm-hmm.
and so sometimes you're just like so exhausted and you don't know why.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to get like a lot of yeast infections,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and so now, honestly, like, I'm not saying I'm a complete vegan because those who know me know I will eat meat. I will tear up some meat. But for the most part, I'm vegetarian, vegan, and I'm
You're
not drinking
plant-based.
alcohol.
That's
I'm
the new term.
plant-based. Yeah, that's a new term, right? So I'm plant-based, and I don't drink a lot of alcohol. And so if I'm talking to a guy and we're interested, I ask these questions. What do you eat? Are you drinking? Are you smoking? Guys, and guys, I see, guys are on here right now. When you're doing all that stuff, your sperm doesn't taste as good. It tastes nasty. Like, I'm keeping it real. I'm keeping it real, and so, and I've tasted a lot of different sperm, like, so, and I'm proud to say. So, and I've noticed that guys who are more healthy, they eat healthier, they're taking care of themselves, the sperm tastes differently. So, one, if your sperm is not tasting good, that shit ain't coming inside of me. Even if we use a condom, like, like, no,
Right.
so it's important. And I think that a lot of times we don't get this education. We have sex ed in school, but we're not taught about how the eating habits, what we drink, what we're
Mm-hmm.
putting inside of our bodies makes
Mm-hmm.
a difference with the liquid that's coming
Mm-hmm.
out of us,
Mm-hmm.
our bodily fluid. So
Mm-hmm.
this is really, really important for us to be aware of, understand. I'm not telling everybody to go out there and be plant-based and not drink alcohol, but be aware you're going to taste differently based on what you're putting inside of your body.
Yes. And Renee, I like that you brought this up for a couple reasons. One is the reality of my reality, your reality. It's our birthday month. Birthdays are a reminder of the fact that we're getting older. And as we get older, what sexual health, how we take care of it becomes even more important and more of a priority when we think about sexual health beyond just the moment when we're engaging in sex, but it's like this entire lifestyle, right? Of being aware of how you eat, what you eat, being aware of the exercise you get, being aware of staying hydrated, all these things that affect all the other organs and all the other, you know, ways that we are healthy. It's part of that same process.
Oh,
So,
yes.
so it's, but, and I think, you know, I think when, you know, 20 years ago or whatever, 18 years, when did I start becoming, I became more sexually active when I was 18 or 19. You know, who I am now and who I was then in terms of how I think about it, it's completely, it comes from a different place of centering myself. I think in that period when I was younger, and this kind of also perhaps was true when I first got to Brazil because it was also a new place and I was a new person. When you engage with people sexually, there's a level of, you know, there's insecurity. There's insecurity about, you know, what is it that this person likes? What is it that they do in Brazil? What is it that, you know, how do I bring things? And there's a lot of insecurities that come out, and you're not necessarily coming from a place of, let me make sure this is a healthy experience for me. And I think when you come to that way of thinking in any context or any country, it really changes the experience you have with whoever in whichever place.
So true. So true. That is so true. Sorry,
So I want to hear from you.
go
So
ahead.
we're gonna share, folks, like a little bit of our stories. So I wanted to ask Renee first. If Renee, you
I
wanted
wanted
to
to ask
share.
you first. But go ahead.
Oh, I
Well, let
can
me
go
say real
first.
quick. Let me just
Yeah.
say real quick. Thank you, Angela. She said we both look beautiful. Thanks for the inspiring
Yay.
words. And hello, James. So real quick, you know, we're gonna be sharing stories as you're coming on. And sorry, so I had to go in like on the comments here, it just says Facebook user. So while you were talking, I went in to see who said that message because I had to go onto my phone. So so that's why I came back and
All
I was like,
good.
yeah. Okay, so but anyway, as you're coming on, share what has been your sexual health? Like, how is your sexual health? What have you learned? What are you doing? What changes are you doing to be safe and healthy beyond just what you're taught in school? Because you know, when we're in school, we're just taught wear a condom, STDs, you know, and that's it. Like you know, we don't get so many different things like what we already started talking about in terms of, you know, your health and what you're eating and just the energetic different things like that. So we definitely want to hear from you as well. So go ahead and interview me now. Ask away. What do you want to know?
Okay. With the PSA. Okay, Renee. So if you can share with folks maybe one of your earliest experiences when you came to Brazil, you know, having a sexual relationship with somebody or somebody's, what that was like when you first came and what that experience brought to you in terms of what sexual health means for you today.
Mhm. Yeah. So it's so interesting. So when I came to Brazil, I was like, you know, I wouldn't say wet under behind the ears, but what behind the ears in Brazil. So I didn't realize um, from what I've experienced, and everybody's experience is different. Um, my experience was people move really quickly in these relationships, right? So literally within my first 6 months being here, um, I had decided to start volunteering, and I met a guy. I'm actually not going to give all of the specific details because the people going to know who he is, and I don't know, he might be listening. But anyway, he already knows. Whatever. So anyway, I met a guy,
You share what you want.
and we went on a date. And this was my very first experience within Brazil. We went on a date, and next thing you know, like he lived like kind of far from me, and at that time we didn't have Uber, so it was hard. Like taking the bus was like almost like 2 hours to get there, and because on our first date I ended up sleeping at his place because it was so late. when we finished, like we had a good time, it was flowing, and it just wasn't really safe for me to take the bus back to my place. So I ended up spending the night. And then next thing you know, that week I was over there like 3 times. The next week I was over there a lot. And then next thing you know, we're living together. So like within the first 3 weeks of our dating, I'm moving into his place. And it just made sense because he had his place. And I was kind of like renting out or whatever. I wasn't really settled. So, and it was a very intense, it was a good relationship. And then I had a friend who happened to be traveling through, and I was like, yeah, you can come through, because I'm very open, trusting, whatever. And I invited my friend to come over and stay with us. So, it was the 3 of us staying there. And then he kind of fell in love with her as well. And I mean, he was open and he was honest. He was like, look, I love both of you. Can she stay here and the 3 of us be in a relationship? And I'm like, what the hell? Hell no. And so it was so interesting. This was my pre-tantra period, pre even being in a polyamorous relationship. So that's why I say like wet behind the ears in that sense, because I still had this idea of wanting to be in a traditional relationship, and this is how it is. This is how it's supposed to be. And anything outside of that is just weird. No, that's not how it should be. So, nothing ever happened between the 2 of them, in case people are wondering, because when I share this story, people always ask that. Nothing ever happened between the 2 of them, to my knowledge. But both of us did end up moving out, and actually her and I ended up living together. And I will say that was at Sechi's place in Salvador in Rio de Janeiro. So it was so funny. We're like living in this other guy's apartment, a friend of mine with his girlfriend, and like we're all like stuffed in there, 4 of us in the favela in this space. But it was fun. And so anyway, after that, I was like, okay, so what is this bringing to me? And so I really felt like after that, even though I ended that relationship, I actually do want to explore open relationships and polyamory. And I wasn't open to exploring that with him because of where I was at, and because that's not what we agreed to. We entered into a relationship with this agreement of being monogamous. And now I do truly believe that relationships are fluid and things could change. And the most important thing is being able to have that open and honest communication, which he did. So that was, I respect that now. And I'm like, oh, kudos. You were able to tell me, where some people might have just cheated and snuck around or had this and not said anything. So, so for me right now, in this space where I'm at, I feel like if you can be open and honest and say, hey, this is where I'm at now, are you? And I'm like, okay, I can say to you where I'm at. Yes, I'm down to experiment with that. Oh, no, I'm not, and now I definitely am in a place where I'm more open to explore those different options, so that was a big lesson for me in that relationship, just learning what I want and who I am, and not to settle. And honestly, that was a big key in opening me up to want to explore different things, other types of relationships, to see if I could be polyamorous or not. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. So
Great
share
story.
one of yours. I want to hear one of your first.
I'm
One
like,
of your
and then
first
what
stories.
happened?
And yeah, well, we're friends now. We're still friends, and it took a moment. I'm going to share something else that's kind of outside of the relationship piece, because it was just interesting. He was very much into candomblé, which is the Brazilian religion. And when I ended it, I was still staying there for a little bit, even though the relationship ended, because I was, having to look for a place. Then he had like his whole family from the church family, the Tejero, from the spiritual center that he belonged to come in and pray over us. And I was freaking out, because that was also my first experience with that. And I'm like, well, is he about to do some voodoo on me to make me stay with him? And it wasn't, but it was just interesting And I only bring that up to say is because I really had, like, coming from the States, we have all of these negative connotations about these African-based religions. And so I learned a lot in this relationship, honestly, even beyond just the sexual health. That was my first exposure to condom lay and being able to open up and not have that negative view that I had coming from the US.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's important because I think it also demystified the relationship between this specific spiritual practice and how it relates to our interpersonal relationships that we have with people who may be candomblecistas, which are people who are part of the religion, and we're not. So I think that's really important to share.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, so I'd love to hear about one of yours.
one or many.
Well, we're going to be sharing many different ones, right? I guess. So
Right.
we'll
Okay.
see how many we put in
So
this time.
I thought about what do I want to share with folks in relation to sexual health. And I think what I wanted to share before I talk about the relationship I'm currently in is my promiscuous period. So I am, Renee knows this, I'm a serial monogamo. I love being in monogamous relationships. Since I was 19, I've been in a number of them for not a long time. And in 2016, my relationship had ended with Brazilian cis man at the time. And I was like, okay, I really need to give myself space to kind of center myself after that relationship ended and I moved to a new home. I had realized it was the first time I had lived alone ever. So I was like, okay, I really need to center myself. I'd always been living with somebody or having roommates, but most of the cases I was living with a partner. So I was like, okay, it's about me. I'm going to give myself time. I'm going to not kind of jump into a relationship the way I tend to. And so for about 2 years, I was dating people casually. And even though they were casual, there were a couple in there that, were hot and passionate. And there was intense feelings of love. But I had committed to really giving myself time for me. So I didn't let them go beyond a particular place. And during that period, I reflect on it now, like what the importance of dating from a place that, where I was like prioritizing space for me and energy for me, because it made my relationships have sort of boundaries and limits. And it also made me come into those relations and those dating relationships with a different sort of openness. So I was open to exploring the experience and what each person um how was it that who they were sexually expressed who they were as people. So I really got to know the different kinds of people based on how they were sexually with me. So that was really interesting to see all the ways that people can express themselves while they're having sex, and it isn't necessarily tied to a particular culture or a particular identity, but it is tied to experiences, past experiences, and also the relationship you have, how they relate to you energetically. And so in this promiscuous period, and everyone always, I think it's interesting, Renee, that because we've lived in Brazil a long time, when folks ask about, different people I know, oh, how's Brazil? One of the things, first questions is like, so what's it like, hooking up in Brazil? Because there's a lot of ideas of who Brazilians are that are problematic. And there's ideas of, this carnival atmosphere being that way the entire year. And so I think it's important to share that there is during Carnival this very real openness to have different kinds of sexual relationships openly and freely. And it is very much during Carnival, and after Carnival and before, it's like, you know, I feel like there isn't so much of a big difference between when I would date in the States and when I was dating in Brazil. But I think it's important, and I think it's important to make that distinction that, you know, there isn't some special gene that Brazilians have that like generates this promiscuity or this different way of being sexually. I think Carnival opens up this space for that, but it's not who people are the entire
Yeah.
year.
And
I don't know what you think about
I,
that.
I agree with what you're saying. Like, you know, I think it's important to like demystify that. You know, everybody has that. I do want to say, with my experience, I've experienced where, you know, I would meet somebody and I'm walking and I literally meet somebody and they're like trying to come back to my place or go to the hotel the same day. I've literally had that several times
Yeah.
happen. And I'm not gonna lie, like I've been in between my promiscuous period as well, where I have. Like literally, I was walking home from yoga one day, met a guy, started talking to him like literally on the street. He was fine. And we just walked back to my apartment and it was all good and we had a good time. Then I had like recently, not recently, but like maybe a few years ago, after I broke up with my last, you know, a few years ago where I had an Uber driver and he was fine. And I was like, shit, okay, come back into my house. But there was plenty of times that I've had to say no. So, and even with that said, does that mean that that always happens to everyone? Because I've met people who live here and that doesn't happen to. So I think it all depends on the energy where we're at, what we're calling into our lives at that moment. And so, you know, I have moments where I can go a year dry here, nothing's happening. You know, then I have other moments where literally, if I want to, every day I could have sex with a different person. Like honestly. So, and I think it depends on where I'm at energetically, what I attract and what's coming to me. So, you know, I've seen all of that. You know, but I also want to go back to what you were saying about your story during your promiscuous time, and I think that that's so important, and I want to commend you for going through that. And I'm not, again, those who are watching, I'm not saying everybody has to go through a promiscuous period, but I think that is an important part of getting to know yourself, getting to know who you are and what you like, and you know. For confidentiality reasons, I'm not going into details. I'm not giving any names or anything, but I do want to say I've had many clients come to me who got married early, got married young, and only been with one person. And they're saying to me now, you know, after being married for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, I have all of those that they want to explore. And they just don't want to be with that same person anymore. And I have women coming and saying, they just want to go out and date various men, you know, and so I have to talk to them about this whole process. Well, how do you feel talking to your husband about maybe having a polyamorous relationship, or, you know, what are the different options? And we work through that. So I do think it's important, however you decide to do that, is to have time to get to know yourself sexually and explore yourself sexually, whether it's through exploring with masturbation in different ways, exploring with different partners, or exploring with whether you're doing it out in nature or exploring different things like kink and BDSM, swinging, tantra, whatever it is, finding your way to get to know yourself and understand yourself. And I do want to say, Dr. Dre commented, because we asked about, you know, how are people sexual health, what are they doing to be safe and healthy? And Dr. Dre did talk about doing learning yoni and lingam massage and doing tantra classes, as well as studying Taoism. And so, you know, those are important things. Those are different ways to explore yourself sexually as well. And that's one of the things that I had to start doing, because you know, you don't have these conversations with your parents growing up. At least I didn't. There are people who do. You know, so I had to go through those different periods. And I think that part of sexual health is also understanding that there's nothing wrong. There's nothing to be ashamed of or feel guilty of if you want to go through a period and have sex with 2 or 3 different men in the same day. You know, I might be exaggerating, but you know, whatever it is, if you want to do that or whatever, however it is, it's your body. It's your body, and you explore however you want to without any guilt, without any shame, you know, just being safe, you know.
Yes. And I think, Renee, there's a different, it's great that you said that, exploring however you want to. So doesn't necessarily mean exploring carelessly,
Right.
right? And I think that I found myself in my promiscuous period. I got to that point actually,
Mhm.
where I realized I was exploring and being free, but in a way that was compromising my health and also
Mhm.
my sense of power. Sometimes I think when you're in casual sexual relationships, I had a hard time really speaking up for myself
Mhm.
about, feeling like I wanted to have some agency and power in those experiences.
Mhm.
And because they were so casual, I didn't have I had to learn what it was to stick up for myself, even in these sort of intimate, pleasure driven scenarios. Like I
Mhm.
realized how much work I still needed to do in that way,
Right.
and what does it mean to explore and be free, but in a way that's like taking care of my, who I am and my energy, and not necessarily overexposing that or compromising that for this fun, or for, in a lot of situations I realized how much there was different sort of sexist power roles playing out,
Mhm.
um, kind of being, playing out in these casual scenarios. And I had a hard time because, I am a feminist in a lot of different areas of my life. And here I was trying to be casual promiscuous and having a hard time bringing up my issues with how somebody, and this happened with men and women, how certain power dynamics were playing out that didn't really match with me ethically.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
that was really hard, is kind of in my practice realizing how much work I had to do to try to match my ethics, and
Mhm.
what kind of personal work that meant for me.
Mhm.
So
And that's important for you to go through that to learn
hmm
all of that, right? And you know, and so you know, as you're talking, it's like you know that same thing when you were talking about the energy. Like I
hmm
had to learn I can't mix different energies, and I'm more
hmm
sensitive now to that.
hmm
And one of the things with me going through my promiscuous period, I realized that I was searching for something. I was
mm
searching for feeling for something, and every time I would have sex, I would end. I would feel like I would feel empty
hmm
inside. That's the word. So I would always feel empty inside, and I'm like, okay, I'm having fun, I'm having great sex, but then there's just something that's missing, you know.
hmm
But
hmm
I had to go through that, and that's something I had to go through to learn more about myself and learn more about okay, what is going on and why, you know, because nobody could have ever really told me this. Um, that you're missing something. But I think that, you know, as I say that, I'm going to backtrack. I think that if I would have had conversations and my family or my mom would have been like, hey, you know, maybe I went through this and I was, you know, I was searching for something. I was searching for love and I had sex and I couldn't find it. You know,
hmm
had she told me this, I think I might have been like, okay, maybe I'm different. But then I think it would have been in the back of my head.
hmm
And I would have been like, hmm. And then I think I would have learned a lot quicker. And
hmm
so, you know, I think that could have helped me not go through this so
hmm
much. So,
hmm
and that's why I think that it's so important to have these conversations. I think it's so
hmm
important for people to hear what we've been through and to share these stories so that they can learn um, and either see that maybe they're in that same pattern or they're doing that same thing to
hmm
do something differently or to
hmm
be able to feel comfortable enough to explore
hmm
however that means for
hmm
them, you
hmm
know. So,
Yeah, and I gotta tell you, I'm gonna talk a logistic point of being promiscuous period in Salvador Bahia.
mhm,
So I didn't have a car. there was no Uber yet in Salvador. And a lot of the people I dated lived with their entire families. So a lot of times, you know, thinking about like safety and, you know, all those things in that context was difficult. And you know, um I'm also a woman and very aware of what that means in that context in terms of my safety. So a lot of times, you know, it was like, well, do I risk kind of my safety for, you know, going out, you know, having this person come over who I met like, you know, last week, you know, there was a lot of moments of, you know, having to check in about what's a priority, my safety or my fun. And it's too bad that that often you have to kind of choose one of those, or I don't know. It made me really think about what does it mean to have safe, fun sex in contexts where your safety is an issue in a big way. And so what I would do, what I started doing is I was like, okay, I remember this one person. I was like, okay, I'm gonna have this person come over, but I don't really know them. But you know, they live with 10 people, and I can't, you know. So this is kind of our option. So I told, you know, three girlfriends who lived near me that this person was coming over, and, you know, that I would call them you know, I would just be checking in with those friends, just in case anything happened. And so that kind of gave me a level of safety. So it made me think a lot about like, how are, how are we kind of guaranteeing our safety in being promiscuous? And when I said earlier, you know, like, being free but not careless, to me that was like an example of how I kind of negotiated that, because I wasn't going to just not have fun because I wanted to, but I also was aware of like the fact that, you know, I live alone, I don't have family near me. How can, you know, I'm inviting a stranger basically to my house, how can I make sure, you know, that nothing happens to me, or if something happens there's sort of people ready. um and I think this is something that I wish I didn't have to think about, and I wish I didn't have to worry about, and I wish I didn't have to create a plan for. Um, but the truth is that, you know, how do we also kind of guarantee that in the context of high levels of violence against women and all these other things? So,
So we have a comment here from Christine. Um, and, you know, this is a great comment that she put. She says, in our culture for women, there's no conversation about sex or dating, but you're expected to get married and have children. There's a lot of in between to get there that you end up navigating blindly.
mhm,
It's so true, so true. You know, and it comes from because there's just so much sex, and I mean so much sex, so much shame and guilt and taboo around this topic. You know, so we're not learning in school, we're not learning from our family. You know, and historically, before colonization, families had these discussions. You know,
mhm,
mothers would talk to their daughters about doing Kegel exercises. They
mhm,
would talk to
mhm,
them about your period and menstrual cycle. You know,
mhm,
and so it was just so different. But then during the colonization, you know, it was like, because it's all about dominating and controlling. I'm saying this all the time. I say this all the time. But even beyond that, you know, it's just like it stripped away that culture of being able to have these conversations,
mhm,
unfortunately.
mhm.
And
Yeah.
go ahead, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, yeah, for me, the colonization piece uh, is implicit of the sexual violence that came along with that colonization, right?
Hmm.
And like the trauma of that. Like, that's, you know, in my case, when you were saying we don't talk about it because there's a lot of sexual trauma in my family and my ancestry. And so you're right. My mom didn't, when she would mention anything, it was like, be careful going out, you know, don't get raped. You know, that was,
Yeah.
my mom would say that every time we would go out to, you know, walk with friends or go to the mall or whatever. That was on the
Hmm.
front of her mind. And so when you grow up with that, yeah, how do you make space for the fun in a way
Hmm.
that's careful? So yeah.
Right. And I think it's important as well for people to know that beyond that, well, you know, that was one of the things that I got a lot too. And you know, when you have your drink, don't sit it down. If you sit it down, don't go back and drink it. You know, people can put stuff in your drink and drug you, right? So
Mhm.
this is what I grew up hearing. That was it. You know,
Mhm.
I didn't learn about the different types of relationships that we can have. I didn't learn about how, you know, your partner, what they're eating, what they're drinking affects your vagina differently. You know, I didn't learn about doing yoni steams and how that's beneficial for our vagina. You know, I didn't learn about even washing my vajayjay with baking soda. You know, there's so many
Yeah.
different things, you know, for the chronic yeast infections. And got to go back to that WAP, Cardi B, you know, it's that video, because it's just important. Like, but we don't hear those things. We don't talk about those things. And
Mhm.
it's essential. And Breezy, you know, she says, I didn't know marriage and children didn't have to be part of the equation, you know.
Mm.
And it's like you grow up, you know, like Christine said, it's like you're expected to get married, you're expected to have kids. Well, what else is there? So does that mean that that's what makes you an adult? That's what makes you complete and whole as a person? The only way to be whole and complete as a person is to get married and have kids. I mean, there's so much more to that, you
Mhm.
know.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean the whole marriage and kids thing, what there's sex involved in both.
Right.
And no one says actually, you know, like they're a priority should be why can't a priority be learning the art of lovemaking? Why
Hmm.
can't the priority be, you know, exploring discovering my sexual identity, discovering my sexual abilities and talents. I think we don't think about sex as this space for artistic expression, and it is like oral sex is a whole art form, and it's
Hmm.
amazing, and it's, you know, it's something that um, is not, you know, we don't talk about how important it is. We don't talk about all of the ways it can happen, how you can be stimulated, how you can stimulate the other, like the role that it plays in our just our well-being. You know, like that's just an example of like
And,
how
and and you know, the oral sex, like, you know, when you're saying how it plays in our well-being, it can actually be quite healthy for you, like if you're conscious with it. So I was actually just on a show on Wednesday talking about oral sex, on a Facebook show.
mhm,
And so our penis and our vagina, penis in Sanskrit for the Tantra term is lingam, and
mhm,
yoni, for women, the vagina. But the lingam and the yoni has the organ. So it's just like a reflexology. So our body has a reflexology point on our hands, our feet, our ears, as well as the eyes, which is
mhm,
what they do iridology,
mhm,
but also on the genitals. So, you know, so we have the heart, we have the liver, we have the kidneys, all on the genitals. And for example, on the penis, at the tip of the penis, on the head, that's where the heart is, right? And then at the end,
base.
of the vagina, thank you, the heart is right there. So when the penis goes in, that connects, as well as on the sides, you have the organs on the sides throughout the body, right? And so when you're going in and you're having sex, or you're doing the oral sex, knowing, being aware of this, you can actually, you know, set your attention on where you're putting the pressure, where you're putting the amount
Mhm,
of pressure with your mouth, with your hands, so that you can actually stimulate and massage that area. You know, so for example, the heart has to do with compassion, obviously.
mhm,
The liver is anger. The kidneys is fear. So if you know this in the body, you can actually massage that, and you can be very aware of that. Now, in the entrance of the vagina, like, well, let's go back to the end of the I don't know why I can't say this word. The very deep part of the vagina, right?
the
So not
cervix, no,
well, close where the
yeah,
cervix is, right? At the deep
mhm,
part of the vagina. You have the entrance, the
mhm,
middle, and the deep part, right?
mhm,
So that's where the heart is. The heart is on the tip of the penis. Now, if you think about when you're doing that rough sex, again, I'm not saying not to have rough sex. I like it rough too. I like to have my back blown out. But if you're doing that constantly, and the man is going in and out, sorry to my nieces who are listening, going in and out, you're hitting that heart, the heart part of the woman. And
mhm,
so what is that doing when you're putting all that pressure constantly into the heart? So it's important to have these understandings and learn these different things so that, okay, today let's be more gentle, let's be more loving with these slower strokes, and let's focus and give more love and care to that heart when we're going in and out. So there's so many different things that we don't learn, that we, having these conversations help people to understand what's going on when they're having sex,
So basically you're saying that different sexual organs have like pressure point areas that are connected to other organs of our body.
So, okay, so we have organs that's connected to emotions in our body. So
Right.
the kidney is connected to fear. The liver is connected to anger. The spleen is connected to worry. The heart to compassion, right? The ovaries are connected. The ovaries actually hold, and the uterus holds on to sexual traumas that's in our bodies, right? So now, when you look at the sexual reflexology within the penis and the vagina, you have all of those emotions because you have the organs there. So, within the penis and within the vagina at different points, you have the heart, you have the liver, you have the kidneys.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So when you put in the penis and the vagina, they align with each other. So the kidney point on the male is going to touch the kidney point in the female. The heart point on the male is going to touch the heart point in the female. So our system is just designed beautifully and intelligently. James says I'm learning too much. So listen, y'all, look, y'all learning. I got my Tantra course coming up October 5th. It's a 4-week Tantra course. So sign up. Go to my website, www.prandataprim.com, and you will see that Tantra course. I got all of this and more.
Yeah. So Renee, I mean, I'm thinking a lot about what you're saying in terms of the organs. I didn't know that areas in our sexual organs had a point that was connected to the other organs that are related to those emotions. That's great and fascinating. And it's making me think about my relationship now. So I'm in a relationship now with a cis woman, and there's no lingam there, at least not actual real one.
Right.
But there's, but it doesn't, but we have established very deep and powerful ways of connecting sexually together. And so I think I always am curious about, I'm like, have I unknowingly kind of connected with those pressure points with her and her with me? And is that why, because there's definitely the way that we connect with each other sexually, there's so much more space for listening and for trusting than I've had in, during my promiscuous period or, with other partners.
And that's a good point. So, that's not the only way for you to connect. That's not the only way, to heal each other. I do want to show this picture just so people could see, because I actually put it up on my Instagram so they can just kind of see that picture that we were talking about. So just so you can kind of see where these the heart is at the very tip. And then if you go in to the vaginal canal, this is the vaginal canal, then you got the uterus, right? So you see the heart at the very top. So you got the kidneys on the side, and right on that same side is the kidneys, the liver. So it's all in alignment, right? But obviously, this is not the only way that you can do any healing work with you and your partner. If you're with the same sex partner, you can still do healing work, like just being conscious. If you're, if you're fingering and you're having your fingers inside, just being aware of where the organs are in the body. So you can just, put some pressure on there and just send intentional love and healing in that area. So you can do that with your hands, both of you, So
that's beautiful. Nobody ever sends love when they're having sex with somebody.
No.
They're just
Yeah.
trying. I mean, we're
They're
really
just trying to fuck
invested in what
and
we're
blow each other's
feeling,
butt. Right.
but to do an action that is in that generous spirit. I think that's something I could do more. And it's, we're not taught to be generous with our lovemaking. We're taught to be
Right.
sort of selfish.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you just want to hurry up and come, like not hurry
Mm-hmm.
up and come, but you just want to come, and
Mm-hmm.
I get that pleasure,
Mm-hmm.
and it's okay. There's nothing wrong with that shit. I
Yeah.
love to come. I love to have orgasms, but it's important too. And I think that this is one of the things that I love about having studied Tantra and Taoism as
Mm-hmm.
well, is that I've learned these different things, and so my sexual health, my sexuality has become more conscious and more
Mm-hmm.
aware. And by that, it's allowed me to decrease a lot of the issues that I've had
Mm-hmm.
physically, emotionally, and mentally.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, I'm not just allowing anyone to come into my life. Like, that I'm not going to have sex with anyone. Like, your energy has
Mm-hmm.
to be on point.
Yeah.
You have to have done your work. I'm doing my work. I need you to do your work. And I need us to both come in and be very conscious and aware of what we're giving to each other and what we're bringing to that table, So,
Yeah. And
yeah.
how easy has it been or hard to find those people?
Oh, it's hard as hell. It's hard as hell, honestly. It's hard as
And
hell.
now with the
And
COVID, made
I
it
know the
hard.
COVID. And and they say ignorance is bliss. And so very similar into this, it's so much easier for me to just date and be with somebody like not knowing all of this and not experiencing any of this. But then am I really happy? Am I like satisfied? For me personally, no. So this was definitely something that, and I believe that I'm meeting more and more men that are doing the work, so,
Mm-hmm.
so that's been good, so Brenda says, yes, the energy is very important. Yeah. So I want to hear another story, this is good. I do want to hear your current story.
Okay. Another story. Okay. So I didn't name names also from my promiscuous period because I didn't want to out
Mhm.
anybody.
No, yeah,
Um,
we have
but but
that.
so here I was in my promiscuous period, and I was getting to a point of what you talked about, just feeling like I was letting people in my energy that, at first it's fun, but then at what point do you sort of limit that? Because you start to realize how sacred your entire body and mind and soul is in that experience. And so I had cut off who I had been dating and was like, I'm not going to do this. I want to make space for somebody or somebody's, because I was, also exploring the possibility of being with multiple people at the same time. And I was like, okay, let me make space for somebody that is aligned with who I am and who I'm trying to be in the world, and just companionship. So I cut them off. I was like, okay, I want this to be intentional. And, and then I got a crush on my current boo, Julie. I just outed her. And we met actually playing music. We played in the same drum ensemble. It's an all women's drum ensemble. And, she had been playing in it for a while, me too, but I hadn't seen her in that light until a particular day. And I'm not the only one with this story, but it was February 2nd, Festa de Yemanja. For folks who know Yemanja's festival, it's every year in Salvador. It's a beautiful festival where everyone goes out to the ocean and gives offerings to Yemanja, who is the goddess of the oceans and water. She's a great mother. She's a big mother. So on this day, we had played for hours and hours with our group. And the next day, as the sun was rising, we were sitting in a pool talking, and I just saw her in a different light. And so many people have this story on Yemanja. They meet people that they fall in love with. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the ocean. I don't know if it's the sunshine, or if it's this openness that you have to to the love of people and the compassion of people. But it was that day that I saw her in a different light. And I just started to develop a very intentional liking of this person. And when I say intentional liking, it is like I would study and observe who she was around other people, what it was she said, what it was she practiced. It was like there was an attraction physically, but there was also this like desire to understand who this person was in the world. And that was something that was different than all the other experiences I'd had before, where what led me and what drove me was this, sexual attraction, the physical attraction was always really strong with me. And that would always sort of drive things. And it would become this sort of like, this like vortex of energy between two people. And with her, it was there, but I also I had this desire to understand her in the world and to see her in the world. And I just like fell in love with who she was in the world and with other people and in her community. And that was something that was really different. And like exciting, because I was valuing somebody for who they were beyond my sexual attraction to them. And so I was all stupid, when I would then after that day, I was like, oh my God, my crush. I couldn't talk around her. I would get nervous. I thought, I was like, she's never gonna like me. I felt like a teenager. It was ridiculous. But I was like, but I'm just gonna not force anything. And I was pretty obvious. I tend to be someone that thinks, I think that I'm pretty good at flirting. So through all these signs, I was like, hey, you want to come over for a Reiki session? Because I also do some Reiki as well. She was having a headache. The moon was out. I was like, how could she not? But she, went right past her. She's a Taurus. So she was like, okay, thank you. See you later. So there, I was like, okay, I'm going to try harder. So I actually invited her to one of Renee's Tantra workshops. And I was like, if she doesn't get it after this, me inviting her to a Tantra workshop, I don't know what I'm going to have to do. So we went, and, we had, the workshop was great. We did some breathing exercises, and it got us to talking about our relationships and sex. And that night we went to celebrate a friend's birthday. And, long story short, that night was the night that I had the courage to sort of kiss her and, and really just kind of put it out there like, hey, I've been giving you 10,000 signs and I'm going to just have to kiss you because, you are not getting it. So she got it. And, after that, I didn't see her for like a month. And so it was so we had this time to sort of think about what it was and, still kind of in this friend zone. And I just remember feeling that experience, something had been opened, and it was something that was so special that the time for it to evolve was going to be its time. And so it really like shifted my relationship with the timing of things. And we really gave ourselves space to just explore who we were and what this was becoming. And so here I am 2.5 years later, in a now long distance relationship with Julie, who is, who's someone who I've grown so much as a person, but also I've never been able to be so honest with somebody about who I am sexually, what my insecurities are sexually, what we want to learn together sexually. So it's been a really beautiful experience in terms of feeling like I have someone who I can explore with in a way that's comfortable and not necessarily feel like I have to perform or I have to know everything or I have to, and I think that's something that we're negotiating all the time. So that's, I feel like it's one of the most sexually healthy relationships I've been in because of that relationship.
So beautiful.
Yay!
And I'm so glad that my Tantra workshop had a part in helping you to be able to open up and
Yes,
you to connect
that's
more.
right.
I remember that day
Renee.
too. I remember that day too. I had everybody doing the breathing together, looking into each other's eyes.
No, that was
not that
after we
one.
were together. It was
Oh, which
did
one
it
was it
in
then?
at the Cornopolis. What's the name of that place in Rio Vermelho? You did it a long time ago. Cronopio. So, I don't know.
I don't
You know, Jolene's the belly dancer, her space that she had in Rio Vermelho. You did it
Yeah.
there. That was the one we went to.
Oh,
Long
okay.
time ago.
Oh, long time. Oh, so I forgot about that one.
Yeah.
Okay. I was just about to lie and say, I remember that day. Well, I remember this other one. I guess this is the latest one that you both participated
So,
in.
folks out there, Tantra workshops bring people together.
Yes.
That's another
Oh,
lesson I learned.
that is. So you know what? I was gonna share a story too, but time is running out. So sorry.
Oh,
No,
you
no,
can
no.
share.
But
You can
listen,
share.
I could. But what I'm thinking is, Sexual Health Month is September, and next week we can finish this up because the people are loving it. This people, and I think it's important, and I think we could do half of this and half of suicide prevention because September is also Suicide Prevention Month. So next week we could do a part two and finish up talking a little bit more about sexual health. If you feel fine with that, if you agree
Yeah,
with this,
I want to hear your
okay. And
story.
then yeah, okay, cool. And then also then doing the suicide prevention month awareness. I mean suicide
Yep.
prevention awareness. So we can talk on those two things. Dr. Day says I want to attend the Kink Retreat. All right, all right, all right. Yes. So let's detour a little bit for Dr. Day. Yes, so I've done two Kink retreats, and I am in the planning stages to plan another Kink retreat. I'm hoping to do one for November. But in the meantime, if you said you've done some tantra classes, if you want to do another tantra class, I will be leading a tantra course, breathwork course, really going in to the breath work, and that's going to be 4 weeks starting October 5th. And that's going to be a series of tantra courses that I'm going to be doing. So love to have you, love to have you. And tomorrow we are doing Nefertiti and I every Saturday at 11 a.m. We do lead a meditation and movement. So that's 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time.
8 a.m.
Is that
Pacific.
right?
Yes, and noon
Oh, I think it
Brazil
froze.
time.
So
Oh,
we both lead a meditation 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, Brazil time. All right. So yes, so we would love to have you. It's really good. It's a free meditation on Zoom. Um, yeah, while you finish talking, I'll try to find the Zoom link and put it on here to add that, so you can
okay.
guys the ID number, and then you can join. Because yeah, we'd love to have you.
Yeah, so we do this. We've been doing this meditation, folks, for the last 2 months every Saturday. It is free for folks of color. We meditate, we do some movement work. It's just a place to kind of regroup and find your inner peace so you can keep doing what you got to do each day to survive, to thrive, to take care of yourself, to take care of other people. It is difficult every day, every month. The intensity is of this year, I feel like continues to go up. So it's a good space to kind of just regroup and connect with great people. We have great people who come in. There we go. So there's the Zoom meeting ID, folks. You just go to Zoom, type in that ID, and we'll be there tomorrow.
Yes, yes, yes. So, all right. So, it seems like a lot of people enjoy this. We got some really good comments, really good feedback. Love this. I love this. I love this. So yeah. So share this video, so other people can enjoy this conversation and learn some things. Because we put out some gems today. There were some gems that we put out. So a lot of people are going to benefit. So share this video. If you have not subscribe, hit that like. Most importantly, hit the like on Facebook and hit the like on YouTube, so we can know that
Yes.
you liked us. Give us the thumbs up,
Yes.
and
Yes.
we'll see you next week for the part two. You know what? I want to close out again with the WAP video for those who came in late and didn't get to see it because it was just so funny and it was great and I loved it. So do you
Yes.
mind? Let's close out with that again.
Go for it.
Let me
Be safe,
share
folks,
that.
with your sexuality, your relations. Have fun. Be safe. Center yourself and enjoy.
Yes, and enjoy. All right, so let me hit play. Oh, it's freezing.
Oh no.
Hold on, let me try it again. Oh wait, I think it's coming. Yeah, my internet is kind of messing up right now. I was moving so slow.
Maybe we
My
can.
internet is trying.
Maybe we could. Yeah, it's frozen.
Oh, it's okay. Yeah, we tried.
But folks,
I'm doing this video so I could keep y'all pussy.
folks, the queen of the WAP, she's got great
Yeah.
tips on sexual health. So go to her Instagram. It's a hilarious video. We played it at the beginning of our broadcast. If you missed it, go ahead and rewatch our show at the beginning. We put and just hit play. All right, folks. I think Renee has frozen. So I'll go ahead and end our show. Thank you so much. Have a good one, folks. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Bye.